Hello and welcome. I hope you were doing well. I have been very, very, very productive. Gold star for me. Well, to be fair, I was procrastinating, but I got out a bag of scraps and I turned them into this. It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket. So after you saw the video of the embellished jacket, and after I finished that, I was like, right, okay, now it's time to do the video on the layer cake dresses. So I got out all the footage for that, and I got out the dress as well. And yeah, but when I got out the dress, I was like, wow, that background is really messy. And then I looked over and yeah, my whole sewing area is still really messy. So I decided to clean it, but then I got distracted with my box of scraps and I took out this bag of them. Anyway, in the footage you're about to see, a few minutes in, I just randomly start talking about the panels for a dress. It's Butterick B6055, this dress that you may have seen a couple of episodes ago. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but that's the dress, that's the panel, skirt panel that I'm talking about. So once again, I have dumped out all the scraps and I've decided that the red caught my eye just because, I don't know, I feel like there's an achievable amount of red in there, whereas like the Christmas beigey ones or the Christmas or the floral prints with white, there's just so many, and reds are easy to spot, so we'll just go with red theme for now. And so I've just been picking them out and cutting they're mainly sort of triangles or offcuts of the neckline of a bodice. So they're consistently odd shapes. But so you sort of get into a rhythm of what you can cut. So I've just been cutting them into usable strips. So yeah, just cutting off the tiny triangle on the end and straightening it. So there's a lot of reasonably usable bits in there, but I'm still going through them. I've done most of them at this point, maybe 2/3, and I'm still spotting. I wasn't sure whether I was going to include the pink with the red dots, but because I've got a bag that's just sort of aqua blue, pale blue and pink, and it would have gone well with that. But I think the red might have been a little jarring in that one, so I'm using them in this. So I'm just slowly going through and just cutting them down. And I wasn't sure about this strawberry one either because obviously it's a navy background, but the red is very red in this, whereas all my other florals with the navy backgrounds are, the navy is the thing you see first, whereas this one, the red strawberries are, I feel. So I was just watching some sewing YouTube and cutting away at these, and here we go. I've finished them all, and I'm glad I included the pink with the red dots. I think it meshes really well with the others because there's a few sort of Sonia coral ones in there as well, and the roses has sort of pinks and corals in there, so I feel like it meshes really well. I also found a half yard of plain red. I think I will set it aside to use it as the lining for a bodice. It's regular weight, not thinner, used for lining. So I've torn that into strips as well, and I ended up putting it in between lines where there's lots of patches in one. So yeah, I think it's good. It sort of brings everything back. When it gets a little too far away from red, it brings everything back. Anyways, so here is the skirt piece, and I'm just using this as a guide. So I measured out the length of it, and this is inches for those who do inches, but it's 85 in, well, it was 83, but it sort of dips in the middle, so you need 85. And then because it's doubled over, you need 45 centimeters, so 85 centimeters and 45 centimeters in width, because I'm just going to do a big square panel for the middle of the skirt panel, and then I'm going to make the triangle bits to put on the edge and sew them together. I feel like that's the easiest way to construct each panel. And originally, yeah, I was just going to do two patchworked ones and then two of the ladybug ones, but I think looking at the amount of fabric I have, I think I'm going to have enough to do, because this is what I've still got. I've done 1.5 of the panels already, and I've still got all this to go. So I think I'm going to do 4 panels, full 4 panels, instead of 2 patchwork panels and 2 normal fabric panels. So I think, yes, I'm very excited about using up all these scraps. So I think that is what I'll do. And yeah, I'm happy. It takes forever, but you just do a little bit. I've done it sort of a little bit each night sort of thing. So this is me ironing it. So you put it face down and you slowly iron all the seams in one direction. Then you turn it over and this is it. It sort of looks a bit bubbly still. So then you iron, you press the top as well, and it just makes it beautiful. It's so gorgeous. Obviously my seams aren't perfect, but that is what I want. If you've seen my jackets, then you know that most of the work that I do is incredibly painstaking, incredibly precise, and very, very detail oriented. And it's just, I mean, it's gorgeous. I love doing that work, but it just means that when I come to do something like patchworking or making a dress out of patches, scraps, I just want it to be fun, like, you know, going out and jumping in puddles or throwing up autumn leaves. I just want it to be fun. I'm not too worried about it not being precise, but if you are, obviously you can use a ruler and one of those cutting things that you get from the quilting section of the fabric store or a quilting specialty quilting shop. But anyway, for now I am going to continue on making these panels for the dress, and once I've done the 4 main parts, I think I'll be back. I don't think it'll be interesting to see me doing that, but once I've done them, I'll be back and we'll work out how to do the triangle bits to form them into full panels for the skirt. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the bodice. I'll see as I go, but I am keeping all the little squares that are sort of patchwork. They weren't long enough to do a whole strip, but there was enough to make a patchwork, like a little square for a patchwork. So I think, depending on how far all the strips get me, I think I'll do the skirt. Like, I think the squares will come in handy when I make the triangle bits for the skirt, but also I might use them in the bodice. I'm not sure. Okay, it was bothering me that they were all mismatched. So here we go. As you can see, I just sort of cut the strips of fabric by hand and they end up being a couple of different gradings. So I sorted them into piles. We've got thinnest to the widest strips. I think as I go, as I'm sewing all the panels together to make the skirt panels, like all the strips together to make the skirt panels, and there's offcuts, I'll keep them and I'll put them into my graded little piles. So even if I don't use them in this red dress, I'm going to make a rainbow one. Like after I've made one colour theme for, you know, each bag of scraps, with all the leftover scraps, I'm just going to cobble together a rainbow one. So they'll be used eventually. Okay, I did end up doing 4 panels, but then I got the overwhelming urge to sew them all together to see how long the piece was. It's 3 yards, by the way. 3 whole yards. That's amazing. And I didn't even measure it as I went. That's just, I'm so thrilled with myself. I cannot believe those scraps turned into 3 yards of fabric though. It's magical. It's not proper width. It's a lot thinner. It's like only the length of a vintage skirt for a vintage dress. But still, that's very impressive. I'm impressed. Anyway, so I sewed them all together and then I top stitched them because I don't want to have to like French seam every single seam or do anything like that. With all my vintage clothes or any dress made from woven fabric, I actually hand wash. If you're one of those people who religiously obey the marketing gods and, you know, you overwash everything and you tumble dry everything, then yeah, I do think you need to do some preparation to the back of it just because you're going to be so hard on your garments. But if you're just wearing them like they're regular garments and you're washing them like, we did for thousands of years before the marketing gods got to us. I think it's absolutely fine just to top stitch the seams on one side so that they hold on the underside. The most important thing is that you're happy with what you do. That's all that matters. Anyway, so now I can either cut out my panels or I can choose a different skirt for my dress. And while I'm at it, I have to choose a bodice type as well. I mean, I know I want to make a pullover dress, but there's still loads of variations to choose from. It's like when you decide you want pasta, it's like, well, what sort of pasta do I want? And what sort of sauce do I want to go with it? So with my bodice, the one with that's mainly pinks and corals, that's going to be the back, even though I think I like that one more. But anyway, that's going to be the back because it's supposed to be a red dress. And then this one here is going to be the front. Although, yeah, this is editing me dropping in. I have finished the garment now. And this coral line in the front, this is how it goes: coral, then red with rose, then coral and hot pink. That's kind of a racing stripe in the middle of the front, and I do not like it. I wish I had taken the time to cut those bits out and put in like a strip of rose in there or something. Anyway, back to deciding what type of skirt I'm going to do and what type of bodice. So this is what Pinterest had to offer. These are just patterns for how back in the old days people made dresses out of big bits of fabric. Left, you slice most of your fabric up into triangles. Then you leave a few long bits that you sort of sew in between them. That's interesting. Or then I could cut my 3 yards of fabric in half, sew it back together so that it's more of a big square and turn that into a circle skirt. Maybe I'll do that for one of the other ones. I like this one on the left here. That it's kind of the same idea. You're just cutting your long strip of fabric into wedges and then sewing them together. That's interesting. The other one's sort of a bodice and a dress all in one, a skirt all in one, so I'm not sure about that one. I really like the illustration in the middle, and to do that you need panels. So I've got the Butterick 6055, which is the one that I was thinking of, and the other one is a vintage Vogue from 1939. So maybe one of those. Alternatively, I could just gather up the 3 yards and make that into a skirt. While I do absolutely love these dresses with gathered skirts, I think when you're using patchwork fabric, it's just going to be too bulky to gather that like 3 yards down into less than a yard. So, I got distracted then. So these are from Pinterest, and they're dresses and skirts made of ties. Oh, and I found a vest too. So cool. Anyway, so I think I will go with the skirt panel from the Butterick 6055 from the 1950s. Okay, skirt sorted. Now that I have to choose the bodice, I've got a short list of 3. So first up we have the keyhole one. This one is gorgeous. I've made a couple of them, but I think the next dress you'll see from me, well, you'll see a tweed jacket after this episode, but then after that will be the keyhole, the layer cake dress, and that's got a keyhole bodice because I've already made the bodice already. So 2 in a row might be a bit much. Then we have this lovely McCalls one. It's quite high neckline, and it's so classic. It's like very Audrey Hepburn vibes. I absolutely love it. So this is at the top of the list at the moment. And lastly, we have the Butterick 6677. I absolutely adore this, but I think I've got like 100 dresses at this point with this bodice. So I think we'll go with that lovely McCalls one. So after I did all that top stitching and I took footage of my beautiful 3-yard long bit, I had to press it again because to do all that top stitching, I just have a regular sewing machine, a vintage one, not a long arm. So it's sort of, you have to mush it in between, to actually be able to do all the stitches. So, and I'm sorry if I sounded judgy about people who overwash their clothes. I know that we're all stressed and we have stressful lives and we all have different coping mechanisms. Anyway, so then I cut out the panels for my skirt. I can only cut out 3, unfortunately, because I cut them in double panels. So it's actually 6 worth of Yeah, and I was kind of going for 4. So these were the bits that I had left. So I decided that I'd turn them round and I'd make a 4th one out of them. It's not quite a 4th. It doesn't go all the way up to the waistline. It's kind of just like an insert that I'm going to put in the back between, yeah. So I sewed in two more rows of patches in as well, just to fill it out a little bit. I think having seen the final thing, I'm not sure I needed to do that. I think next time I make this dress, because it is really cute, and I do think I'll do another patchwork one. I think I'll just do 3 panels and see how that looks, because I think it will actually look really cute. I mean, this finished one looks good, but I think it will be fine with 3. I was just so worried that it needed the full 4 that I made up this last one. Also, some of the strawberry bits were in the offcuts, and I really wanted to use as much of the strawberry fabrics as I could, because I just think they are completely adorable. So yeah, I just had to trim a little bit down at the bottom, but apart from that, everything sized up well. And then I sewed them 4 panels together, well, 3.5, whatever. And I sewed them together, and oh my gosh, and then I pinned it on the mannequin, and oh my gosh, I love this so much. I think actually next time I make it, instead of doing the cut on the fold double panels, 3 of those or 4 of those, I think I'll do the thin panels that that they used to do in the olden times, so that I get more of those jagged edges with the V, because it just looks so cool. Anyway, the skirt is done. I'm going to leave this pinned to the mannequin, and it is time to do the bodice. Ooh, next one I think I'll do a green patchwork dress next, and I'll do gradation, so I'll have a dark panel, then a lighter panel. That would be cool. Anyway, so the light one is the back and the other one is the front, and here's the front with those dreaded coral colored racing stripes. And so first of all, it's a fully lined bodice, so I have to cut out the same again, but in the lining fabric, which is just that red with the pink background. And now I just have to sew the 2 backs together, because the back is a left and a right. So I just sewed them together. And then once that was done, I sewed the outer bodice front to the outer bodice back at the shoulders. And then I did the lining front to back just at the shoulders, because I'm using the burrito method. Oh, this is me showing you that I sewed the 2 halves of the back together first, obviously. And then, okay, so I've sewed together the shoulders, because I'm doing the burrito method because it's sleeveless. So next step, you lay out flat the outer bodice, and then on top of that, you lay down the lining, and so that they've both got their right sides together, and then you pin them together at the neckline, and then you sew them. It's easiest to sew the neckline, the whole of the neckline, then do the little bits at the center back. So just do the neckline first, and then once that's done, so it's machine sewed, then you just have to clip the curve, like just clip around there, and cut the corners so that it will sit properly when you've turned it out. Then you turn it out so it's the correct way, and then you sort of splay open one side of the sleeves. So as you can you see that the lining of the right side is under and the right side is just sitting there? Then you roll up the left side and you put it in nestle it on the shoulder strap, and then you pull over the lining. So this is the lining of the right side, and underneath is the actual right side here. And then you machine sew it, and then you cut down the seam allowance, and then you clip that curve. You just clip it. Yeah, I actually found this really difficult, and I had to do one layer then the other layer because of all the seams from the patchworking. Anyway, so then you just go to the bottom of your bodice and you pull it all through to the shoulder strap, and then you just do the same for the other side. So, and once it's done, then you can finally sew the bodice together at the sides. So you just like turn it inside out and sew the seams together, and then press them flat and then turn it out the right way. And then it is time to attach the skirt to the bodice. So I just put it up here because I still wasn't sure about those Sonia racing stripes. I think I might just add a few patches over the top, like do some applique or something. I don't know. Anyway, so here they are. I think they look adorable just as a dress and a top. But yeah, I sewed them together. I needed 2 pleats. So there's 2 pleats in the front, sort of equidistant from the center. And yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I do have my 1950s net petticoat underneath it, and a red ladybug sash around the waist. And I just love the way this looks. I love, 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 love it. I guess my expectations were low because it was literally just this horrible bag of scraps. And yeah, and now it's a pretty dress. I'm so happy with this. I can't wait to make another one. And yeah, I'm particularly thrilled by the strawberries. I think it's the combination of pink, red, and, the little jots of green. I just love this so much. It's delightful. And there's Christmas fabrics in there too. I love Christmas fabrics. And yeah, I just love everything about it, except for the racing stripes at the front. I love pretty much everything about this. It's so cute. I could make a patchwork applique strawberry and put it on the front like a bib sort of thing. Or is that too much? It would cover those 2 coral-coloured stripes. Oh, now I've got the idea in my head. I think I might have to do it. It's just so I love this side, the way that the stripes chevron up like that. I love it. And I really like the side of the front of the bodice. I think it's better than the front of the bodice. Yeah. Or maybe I'll just put like applique 2 lines over the coral bits. I don't know. It's just that everything else about it, and I love the back of the bodice. I think it is absolutely adorable. And because it's a pullover dress, it's sort of, when you cinch it in, it sort of gathers that way, and the stripes sort of go in like a V. I just think it looks so good. I'm so happy with the way that this turned out. Please ignore the mess in the background. I did get very distracted. I meant to clean up my sewing area. I really genuinely did. But patchworking takes a long time, even when you're just sewing it in strips and you're not cutting it and making it into squares. Oh, I have to make one in squares. Oh, it's just so fun. The only problem is that when you do one, you like think of all these variations that you could do. And this is it without the petticoat and without a sash on it. This is probably how I'll just wear it around the house. And and this is it with the green, because I always try and find a way to, well, I don't try, it just happens. I always end up adding some green to my outfit, just because. And this is the jacket that I just finished recently, so I just had it hanging around and I just added that as well. I don't think it goes so well. I think it looks better when you turn the sash to the side slightly. That looks slightly better, but I still think they're a bit of a mismatch. My embellished jackets, or my really heavily beaded jackets, just look so good with just jeans and a t-shirt. When they're dressed down, you can just see everything in them. They're just so beautiful. Whereas with an outfit like this, like the patchwork is a distraction, the colours are a distraction. I prefer to sort of just wear a really, really amazing jacket in a really understated way. Whereas this patchwork dress, I think it's awesome. Like in the warmer months or summer, I'll just wear it like that. And then yeah, this is me showing you how messy my sewing area is. Yeah, like you couldn't see it in the background of every shot. And yeah, I really do like the sides of the bodice. They're so pretty. Oh, and I put some green beads on too. So cute. I am quite tempted to make an applique, like a patchwork strawberry. I think that'd be so cute, especially, oh, these are my favorite bits, the strawberries. And because they're in the front of the skirt, when I sit down, that's what, like, that's the bit that sort of puddles on my knee, all the cute strawberries. It's awesome. It is so awesome. I so completely make clothes for myself. People are like, why do you make so many things? And I'm like, because they're pretty. I like looking at beautiful things. But yeah, so it's entertaining for me, and it makes it, does it spark joy? And this absolutely does. I think I might do, yeah, I think I'll turn the weakness of those coral racing stripes into a positive, and I'll make some like applique roses and strawberries or something completely ridiculous and have it sort of fall off the shoulder down to the front of the bodice. I think that would look really cute. I'll leave it like this for now, but I think maybe in December there's Vlogmas where you do like a small project every single day. So maybe I'll do it then. I'll just wear it for a month or two, like, and decide what I want, what more I want for it. And then I think maybe I'll do that in December. I'm pretty, like, there's still scraps left. It's just amazing. I just look at this dress in awe. Like, so the skirt was about 3 yards and the top was about half a yard. So that's like 3.5 yards of fabric saved from landfill. That's pretty impressive. I'm impressed with myself. Gold star to me. Okay, I think it might be time to end this video. I have to go hem this anyway. I think I showed you earlier. Yeah, here we are. I, of course, got distracted by those adorable strawberries, but yes, I haven't done the hem yet. And so I have to do that. I'll do it by hand, even though there's so much machine top stitching on here. I really, really wanted to do the top stitching by hand. It would have looked so beautiful, but hand sewing all of it's like hundreds and hundreds of lines would have just taken far too long, and I just did not have the time, unfortunately. I think I don't know, maybe I'll somehow magically carve out more time next time I do one of these, because I just think handmade things look so good and they feel so good, so hand stitched. So I will try to make the time to do the top stitching by hand on at least one of these. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with the way that this turned out. And if you have the time to dedicate to sewing all your scraps into a big bit of fabric and making a dress out of it, or a shirt or whatever, I highly recommend it. It was just so much fun and so satisfying. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been inspired to use up some fabric you never thought you'd use up, or to get out your scraps and leftovers and cobble them together into something lovely. So yeah, thanks again and happy sewing.